Welcome to the Abundance Hack Podcast, where we want to inspire you to push past your blocks, limiting beliefs, and comfort zone to live a confident, happy, and fulfilling life. I am your host, Niajae, influencer, motivational speaker, and boss babe. Every time you hit subscribe or leave a 5-star rating, I do my happy dance. Hey guys, thank you for watching or listening to the Abundance Hack Podcast. Today I am joined by the amazing Julen, and she is a certified Feng Shui practitioner. So before we get into what Feng Shui is and how you became a practitioner, I want to ask you, what does abundance mean to you?
Yes. So abundance to me is not just about the money. It's about feeling in the flow of life. It's about feeling the energy of things coming to you without having to work really hard to get them.
I love that. Yes. Okay. So before I have you tell us exactly what feng shui is, I just want to tell you my experience with it. So I had a dance and aerial studio for a little while, and I was trying to, not for a little while, for 5 years actually, but I was trying to have the lobby and the studio have a specific energy. So I started looking up different colors of like, what's a good color for the lobby? What is something that evokes creativity and like a warmth? And so I looked up all these different colors, and I actually had a very colorful studio, but it was awesome. So I chose yellow for the lobby because I wanted it to be fun and playful. We taught kids, so I wanted, as soon as they walk in the room, for them to feel just energy and happiness and creativity. And then the studio was pink. I don't know what pink means in feng shui, but I just like the color pink.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then we had one room that was kind of like a sky blue color, and I wanted it to be kind of like a cool, calm, like it was used for yoga and stretching, so I wanted it to be a little more calm. So my experience with feng shui is picking colors of the wall, and anytime I move into a new place, putting plants in certain corners to like block any negative energy. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that is
Yes.
my
Yeah, and I actually feel like people often intuitively do feng shui in
Mhm.
their spaces. When something doesn't feel right, you move things around. You like change your furniture. You put a plant in a place, or maybe get something that really inspires you and place that in a place that you're seeing it very often. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think that's sometimes we intuitively do feng
I
shui.
love it. I love it. Okay, so I will let you tell the official definition and explanation of it and how you got started.
Yes, yeah, for sure. So feng shui literally means wind and water. And so it's really about balance. It's about bringing the energy of the elements into the space, and it's about bringing harmony to the space. So bringing in balance. So when we think of wind, that's kind of up above us, water is down below. It's sort of that balance. I personally, kind of my personal definition of feng shui is a way to create an energetic container or to energetically support you and the things that you want to draw into your life. So it speeds up the law of attraction, essentially. It's about bringing in like actually something in the physical that reminds you of what it is that you're wanting to draw into your life.
I love that. I love that. So how did you get started?
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing because, speaking of doing feng shui intuitively, I feel like I've actually been practicing it without knowing it since I was in about the 7th grade, because I had a situation at that time where, of course, awkward teenage, area, and I lost all of my friends. I had kind of a big mouth, and I was very intuitive even then. So I would sense and feel other people's emotions, and that got me in trouble sometimes. And so I lost all of my friends and spent a considerable amount of time in my bedroom then, and started moving things around. So I really started, like, I cleaned out the closet. I started moving the furniture around in my room, and I moved it a couple times, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's just better. And then the last time I was like, oh my gosh, it's like I'm Goldilocks. This feels so good and so much better than
Mhm.
it did. And that actually then inspired me to get sort of out of the house. I went across the street. We had a playground that had one of those tennis boards where you could basically play tennis by yourself, hitting against the board. So I went and did that. Long story short, I met a new friend. She introduced me to her friends, and it, moving the things in my space did shift the circumstances of my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So fast forward, I went through 99 plus hours of training and received my certification as a feng shui practitioner back in 2014. So I've been helping people for quite a while. Even before I got certified, I really like studied it and did a lot of stuff on my own for about 10, 15 years, even before that.
Very cool. So where does the word originate from? Is it Japanese or I have no idea.
Yeah, so I that's a really great question. I believe it is Chinese,
Okay.
the words themselves. We do tend to have like some of the things that we use are uh, come from different sources, right? Like different traditions and things like that. But yeah, the feng shui in general comes from China, and there's lots of different, actually, I like to call them layers of feng shui, different types of feng shui actually.
Very cool. So who is your target audience? Like as far as like who do you help feng shui their space?
Yeah, so I help a lot. Obviously, I helped a lot of individuals with their spaces. People that, often when they're moving into a new space, or they're, I had a client actually. She reached out to me again today. She had moved in with her new husband, right, into his space, and then they're wanting to create that space that is for both of them. But I also work with a lot of realtors in selling homes. So
Mhm.
that's become a niche that is really fun for me because I love to be able to help the realtors in particular, and people that are selling their homes as individuals too, but help them sell the homes faster. So I do a lot of energy clearing of the spaces as well.
Awesome. And I know that there's a lot of color associated with websites as well. So I feel like feng shui goes into so many different realms almost of like not just your
Mhm.
home, but also your business and your website and your logo color. Do you do anything with that?
Yeah, so that's a fascinating thing because I do feel like everything is energy, right?
Mhm.
So our websites are energy, our homes are energy, us personally, even the colors that we wear carry an energy, right?
Mhm.
And so I do feel like it touches everything. And now I'm trying to remember what your question related to with the colors. You'll see, for those that are on the visual, are able to see the visual, will see behind me that I've got a feng shui bagua. And this
Mhm.
has a number of different colors in it because different areas of your life and your home correlate color wise. And
Mhm.
so when I actually, it's kind of a fun party trick. I can go into somebody's home and not even know them and tell them what's going on in their life just based
Wow.
on what I see and just energetically too. I feel, I'm very intuitive. So I do feel energy as well.
Very cool. So, for those who are listening and not watching, do you want to tell a few of the colors, or maybe all of them? It's not
Yes.
that many.
Yes.
Tell a little bit
Yes.
about the different colors on the board.
Yeah, so I'll just share kind of the bagua itself. This is made up of 9 squares, and this is available on my website. If anybody that's just listening wants to grab a copy of it, it's available on my website, findingyourfiji.com. And this particular bagua is based on the front door. So this is more of what I would call a westernized version of feng shui. The normal Eastern version of feng shui, the traditional feng shui, is based on the compass. So this, I feel like, is a little bit easier for people to understand. And it's based on the front door being at the bottom here.
Mhm.
So the front door essentially, and sometimes, again, homes are different. So sometimes we have a front door along the side. So, if you have kind of an odd arrangement, that would definitely be a reason to connect with the feng shui practitioner about it. But essentially, the different areas are the wealth area, which is going to be the back left corner. So if you're standing at your front door, since we're talking about abundance, the back left corner is the wealth area. Next to that, in the middle back, is the fame, and that's all about your reputation, how you show up in the world, what you want to be known for, that type of thing. And then in the far back right corner is the partnership area. So there's your pink. That is the pink color that we talk about. And that's partnership, which I think is actually a beautiful thing in business. You want to have like your clients and other people be business partners for you. And I should mention the fame area, the color for that is red. So fire, think fire, fame. Partnership, the color is purple. So very like rich, royal kind of color. And then when we go in the middle part of the Bagua, the middle actual area, and that's done by the yellow. And so health and dance and movement, like that worked really well with your studio that you did as well. And health, as you can see, touches all the different areas as well. So that's something that we also look at. So in the middle right area, we have the creativity in children. That's represented by white. In the middle left hand side, we have family, and that's your family of origin. So that would be your parents, your brothers and sisters, that type of thing. Can also be family as in the people that you work with, the networking groups, that type of thing can be involved in there. And then we're looking at the front. In the middle in the front is the career area, and that's represented by the color black. Next to that, on the right front of your home is going to be helpful people. And that color is going to be gray, or sometimes we also use, we can use the color white because white is associated with the element that's represented there. And then the front left is going to be knowledge, and that color is blue. And so there's all these different things that you can, if you want to boost an area, you can add a touch of that color. You can add something with that color into that area. And we also use some of the colors as they correlate to elements to balance a space as well.
Very cool. So just adding maybe a picture or a plan or a centerpiece with these colors in these specific areas, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, you can totally do that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And when someone is picking an accent wall color, what are some of the tips that you give for that?
Well, I would look to see kind of what area of the home it's in, because if, for instance, we are, in a, let's say we're in the partnership area of the home, if we can pick an accent color that correlates with partnership, that would be helpful because that's going to help boost the energy. But I always like to say, choose a color that you really love. I would never put like a red or a really bright color in a bedroom, for instance, because that's a place where we do want it to be calm and peaceful. So we want a little bit of fire and passion in there, but we don't want and this is an interesting thing because we did that. My ex-husband and I did this way back when, before I ever studied feng shui. We painted our bedroom red. And oh my gosh, talk about not being able to sleep. And so it kind of depends a little bit on the area, but you can always add a dash of that color underneath whatever you're going to paint it as well.
Very cool. So do you believe in crystals, or because that's huge energy as well. So I know there's different crystals that give off different energies, and then they have specific colors as well. So is that something that you recommend to your clients, to add a certain crystal?
Yes. So for example, for abundance, a great crystal to add would be an amethyst because it's purple. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So for whoever is just listening, my main art piece on my wall is an amethyst crystal. So you have to watch the video so you can see my setup in my living room.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it goes with your hair. Right. So yeah, like an amethyst crystal is great. There's certain crystals that are also good for abundance, like citrine is
Mhm.
another one that's good for abundance. And sometimes we use crystals to ground energy as well. So if you have, for instance, if you live in an apartment complex or a condo and you're at, I remember one client of mine was like, I don't know, 14 stories up, 16 stories up, very high. Was feeling just not grounded in his work, having trouble focusing, all that kind of stuff. Not only that, but he was right near the river, right near the Mississippi River, like had a beautiful view of the river, but also of a super fast highway. So all these things were very ungrounding for him. So I ended up recommending that he get a specific crystal to put in each corner of his home to help ground the energy.
I love that. I love that. So I know you said you can look at a person's like decorations and tell about them. So looking at my living room, what would you say about me?
That's funny. Yeah, so it's really it's funny that you say that because it's really more like the whole space when I look
Yeah,
at kind of a whole space and how everything is. But I definitely do pay attention to backdrops for sure especially when I'm doing these podcast interviews. And I love your backdrop
thank you.
because you want it to be something that, so many times people have like a bookshelf behind them, or just it doesn't look very, for one thing, it might have a cutting energy to it.
Mm,
So that can be sometimes if people have like blinds that are behind them that are like, you get that sort of what would consider kind of cutting energy. So I like it to be like copacetic, I guess, like calm and smooth behind you, which yours is. And the pillows add a great accent there too. Yeah, and it's just that when I think about a space, like we spend so much time in our homes that we really want it to be a space that uplifts us, right? That makes us feel good. Not when we come into our space, we're like more stressed than we were when we got home, right? So that's kind of,
completely.
yeah, one of the things that we do in feng shui is create more of that space that feels good and actually energetically raises us up, no matter what type of mood we're in.
Awesome. So, what are some tips that you can give someone that is trying to have a more uplifting space? Or I know a lot of people that listen are like creative and possibly entrepreneurs. So, abundance, but also creativity to just get the juices flowing when it comes to creating content or a project at work or anything like that.
Yes. Yeah. So for creativity, one of the things that I always think of is about horizontal surfaces. So
Hmm.
when we have a lot of things piled on horizontal surfaces, it blocks our creativity and it
Hmm.
blocks our clarity. And so just cleaning off your desk can really do a lot of wonders. And I actually chose, you guys can't see it in the video, but I chose the white desk because white is the color for creativity, and it's also like helps it has a energy what we call with an element of metal. Some white represents metal, which is very focused. So that too is something that can also help. Just wearing white can help you focus. So
I
it
wear
just,
white like every day.
yeah, isn't that funny?
That
I
is
know
funny.
check your video too. Yeah, so that can help with focus. A couple things that I just have to mention about really important spaces in the home. One of them is the front door. So if we're wanting to attract opportunities and we're wanting things to flow better for us, we really need to take a look at what's happening at the front door. Is it
Mm.
visible from the street? Is it appealing? Like, is there a nice, I love to create a gateway where you have like a pot of flowers or decoration on either side of the door. We also want our door to stand out. So if we're in a condo or an apartment and can't paint the door, ideally I'd love to paint the door a different color than the rest of the house. But if people can't, you can hang a wreath on it. Or you can
Mm.
hang something on it that's going to make it stand out. You can put a nice bright welcome mat, right? A fresh welcome mat is always a good thing to do to welcome new energy and new
Yeah.
opportunities in as well.
So I have a mat that says good vibes only.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That's
That's what my mat
awesome.
says, yes.
Yeah, I have a couple. Actually just got a new one for the Chinese New Year. I got a red one, which
Mm.
is red is a very lucky color in Feng Shui. It's also the color of success, and
Oh.
it has to do with, just that energy of vibrancy. And so I got a red one, but I do have another one that says this is my happy place because I live on Maui. So it's it is my happy place here.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay, so mats at the front door or some type of plant on either side if you live in a house or if you can paint the door. So, what are some colors
Yes.
that you would recommend painting a door if someone was going to paint their door?
Yes. So if you like red and red is different than the rest of the house, I would paint the front door red. If you
Mm.
don't love red, you can choose any other color that is really like something that you really like. Actually, black front doors are good because that
Mm.
is the energy of career, and it's also water, which is flow.
Mm.
So that can be good as well. I just always want to make sure that it stands out. So even if you have green shutters, you don't want to paint your front door green. You want to paint it a different color. So we
Mhm.
really just want it to stand out.
Okay. So I know like career success and creativity is something that people are interested, but then there's also the element of love. So what feng shui colors attract the energy of love? In order to live an abundant life, you have to adapt an abundant mindset. That requires reprogramming your beliefs to attract all the love, money, and success you can handle. Download this free Abundant as Fuck affirmation ebook with over 100 affirmations to get you started thinking positive, confident, and yummy thoughts. Download it for free at abundancehack.com/ebook to take action towards living your abundant life.
The love and partnership energy is definitely something people are interested in. And for me, that is the area that I look at in the home around that is the bedroom. Because the bedroom, no matter where it's located, is the closest to our body. It's where we spend the most time, like 1/3 of our life, and it's connected to partnership and relationship.
Mhm.
So, one really key tip that I always give for people to help balance and also to help draw in that partner that they want is to make sure that they have two nightstands. So, a nightstand on either side of
Mm.
the bed. And they don't have to be exactly the same, but they need to be about the same weight and size. You don't want one huge one and one small one. You want them to be about the same. And
Mm.
then adding exactly the same identical lights on top of them. So this is about balance. It helps bring balance to the relationship. If they don't have room for two nightstands, then don't have any at all.
Maybe that's why I'm single. I only have one nightstand.
Okay, well, get another one, girlfriend.
That is so funny. Like little
Yes.
stuff like that you wouldn't even think of.
You
Oh my
don't think of
goodness.
it. And
That's
then
so
also look
funny.
at the artwork on your walls too,
Mhm.
right? So I had a client that she had this beautiful picture of Marilyn Monroe in her bedroom,
Mhm.
but Marilyn Monroe by herself, like on the wall,
Mm.
no partner, right? And
Yes.
so, we need to also pay attention to what is the energy of the stuff sending, what message is it sending? So we want things
Yeah.
with partners. We want pairs of things, like a pair of
Mhm.
candles, pair of rose quartz hearts. That type of thing in the bedroom is also going to help.
Wow. So I have a picture of the Eiffel Tower in my bedroom.
Okay.
So, but it's one thing though. But it's a romantic place. Paris is romantic.
Paris is romantic. I actually have a client that
Uh-oh.
so
Can
yeah,
go
interesting.
go back just a little bit because it broke up a little bit.
Okay, so I have a client that has, I believe they had the Eiffel Tower also, but there was a pair of people, a couple
Mm.
standing by the Eiffel Tower, and they had that
Mhm.
in their bedroom. So, and the thing about it is, sometimes people will come into my home and they'll be like, "Oh, what's the feng shui meaning of that?" Not everything has to be feng shui, right? Like if you love it, like that's awesome.
Mm.
I would just encourage you to also get some sort of picture that is maybe a pair of doves or, whatever.
Mhm.
Couple, another one of my clients got a beautiful, gorgeous sunset, and it showed a couple walking in the distance in it.
Mm.
So that represented to them that energy of connection.
Yes. Okay, so the last one is health. I know that health is something that people definitely want to attract. So what would you recommend for that?
Yeah, so the area that we look at for help is actually helpful people. So that would be when you're facing your front door from the outside, it's going to be the right front corner, is where that helpful people area is.
Mm.
And it is essentially what we like to do is add something with movement. So
Mm.
oftentimes we'll put a wind chime outside the front door on that side if the front door happens to be near there, because the movement actually helps attract energy to us. But the helpful people too, you can actually even write intentions. Like if you're, for instance, looking for a CPA, you can write it's almost tax time here. So you can write on a piece of paper, like the perfect, knowledgeable, helpful, kind, affordable CPA, that type of thing. And you can actually put that in a gray box or a gray envelope, because that color for helpful people is gray, and place that in that area of your home. I often
Mm.
recommend that when people are trying to sell a home, that they put the perfect buyer, right? And put that in the helpful people area.
Oh, interesting. Very cool. I love all of the tips. So, what I want to know, are you from Hawaii?
I am
Or
not.
so
I
you
actually
moved there?
I grew up in Minnesota, lived in Minnesota all my life until 2 years ago. When I picked up and moved sight unseen, I'd never been to Maui before. I'd been to some of the other Hawaiian islands, but never Maui,
Mhm.
and felt guided to come and moved here.
Okay, so I want to shift just a little bit from feng shui to your story, because
Yes.
you took this concept of feng shui, which a lot of people don't even know what it is, and said, I'm all in. And you took a leap to start a business, to be a feng shui practitioner, and move to Maui, which is like absolutely beautiful. So that is a story in itself. What inspired that?
Yeah. Yeah. So the feng shui, it's interesting about, I had been doing feng shui for several years in this business before I moved to Maui, but it really did help me make the move for a number of reasons. One, I was able to do some things in my home to help sell it very fast. So I actually sold my house in 2 times in a week. I sold it. I put it on the market. I had a realtor put it on the market, and somebody that had gone to the first open house made an offer like 2 days later on Monday. I accepted the offer, and then they ended up backing out. And I ended up getting several more offers, and I sold it again. A better deal, cash and all kinds of stuff. It was a much better deal. But I do really feel like the things that I did feng shui wise helped move that along. Like it helped make it happen super fast, because there were other homes in the area that were on the market and did not sell that fast.
Wow.
So it's, that's that piece of it I feel like did help me. As far as the move to Maui, that I really feel like I was just guided. I kept getting signs.
Mm.
I knew, like in my heart, that I wasn't meant to stay in Minnesota, and not just because I don't love winter, um, but also just it just felt energetically, it felt heavier to me. And even when I go back there now, like I do notice, I go back quite a bit because I have my whole family is there. My boys are grown, but they still live there. My parent, my dad, my sisters, all of that, my brother. But so it just felt heavier, and I just kept on getting these signs. And so finally I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need like a really clear, like knock me over the head type of sign,
Mhm.
because it's a big deal. Like,
Yeah.
moving where I don't know anybody to some place I've never visited, all of that. And so I got the sign. I didn't ask specifically what the sign needed to be. Some people will say, oh, send me a bluebird if I'm meant to do this. I don't do that. My guides are super creative. So I just said, send me a sign. And they did. So I actually got a package in the mail. I was doing the Secret Santa Sister Exchange. So to this day, I do not know who sent this to me. It was like a
Mm.
friend of a friend. They didn't, some people put their names in there, but most people didn't. And there were gifts in the bottom, and I pulled out, they had sort of cushioned the gifts with some of these just little handle bags. And I pulled out the first bag, and it said Maui Divers Jewelry on it. I still have the bag. So I'm like, okay, there's my sign. I've got my sign. And that's all
Wow.
I needed. And that was December of 2016. And I was here, moved by mid-May of
Mm.
2017. Sold everything, like 4-bedroom house, all the stuff, everything.
Wow. And have you ever had a moment where you're like, what did I do? Maybe I shouldn't have done this?
No. I love it here. I
Yeah.
absolutely love it. I love the weather. I mean, Minnesota this winter has just gotten hit with storm after storm after storm. I love the winter. I love the weather. I love all the things there are to do outside, all the
Mhm.
social activities.
Mm.
I've gotten into playing improv here, which is something I never did in the cities.
Mm.
Yeah, just so many different things. And it's there's a lot more people that are really open-minded here too.
I love that. I love it. So, oh, that's such a beautiful story. So, what are, I would say, 3 tips? Because I feel like that is the epitome of like why I wanted to start this podcast, is just taking that leap to
Yeah.
live an abundant life. And there's so many people that are afraid to do that. They're afraid to, people say, oh, I wish I could live in Maui. I wish I could travel. I wish I could live somewhere beautiful and tropical. And I'm like, you can.
I know, I
Yeah.
know.
So I
Well,
love
and
that.
interestingly, just something about that, like people are like, "Oh, you must have so much money to be able to move to Maui." I did not have the money to live here when I made the decision to move. I
Mm.
didn't. It was total leap of faith. I was able to get money out of my house, obviously, to be able to make the transition, but it's still like when you follow your dreams, and it was something where like I always thought I would retire here. And and part of me was like, well, maybe I should wait, whatever. And then um really about like, no, I enjoy my time that I'm here, not wait till retirement. You hear about so many people, oh, they retired and then like they had a heart attack or something like that, right?
Yeah.
They never got to live
Completely.
their dreams. So I'm living my dreams now. So I'm a big proponent of that.
I love it. Love, love, love it. Okay, so 3 tips that you have for living an abundant life.
Yes. First tip is be aware of your environment because
Mhm.
it does impact you and it does impact what you can attract and what you can do. So, whatever you can do to beautify your environment, that would be the first thing, be aware of it. The second thing would be to do new things. So, try new things, even if it's just driving a different way to work or
Mm.
walking. I used to walk my dog and we always would walk the same way. And one day I'm like, let's walk the other direction. And it just, you see different things. So
Mm.
do new things. And I'm experimenting with every week trying to go to something new, like a new different event. So I'm going to play badminton tonight. Haven't ever done that before. So we're trying that tonight. We'll see. So every week I'm trying something new. So that would be
Mm.
the second tip. The third thing is really just live your dreams now. Like don't wait.
Mhm.
There's no reason
Yes.
to wait. If you desire it, you can create it.
I love it. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, so my last question is, when when have you felt the least abundant, or like what was one of your hardest challenges and how did you overcome it?
That's a great question. Um, yeah, there's been quite a number of times in my life, I would say, when I didn't feel abundant. I think it happened, it just happens to all of us.
Mhm.
And what, for me, typically it's the going back to the self-care and to raising my vibration.
Mhm.
So when I get in that space, the things that I do are things that lift me up energetically. So for me, now that I live on Maui, I'll go swim in the ocean. I'll
Mm.
go walk on the beach. I'll go hiking. I will, drink more water. feed my body healthy things. I will take days, like I've taken the last couple days. Normally I just take one day a week off, but the last couple days have been a little bit rough with this Mercury retrograde
Mhm.
transition. And so I literally like didn't do much of anything. You know, and so that whatever you can do to like raise your vibration, raise your energy is going to help you, because you know, when we're in that fight, flight, or freeze, we do go to like the fear aspects of things. So self-care first.
Yes. Okay. So, two things that I love about what you said is everything that you named was all grounding activity. So, being in nature is very
Yes.
grounding. So, really good tip for people. If you're feeling low vibe, go out in nature, put your feet in the sand or in the grass, or just do something in nature because it's very grounding. And then I like that you said fight, flight, or freeze. So, normally you hear fight or flight, and people don't talk about the freezing part, which I really
Yeah.
like because that is a huge element. People just, they don't know what to do, so they just don't do anything.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
we usually have a go-to. So we typically have one of those three that we tend to do. And mine was always flight. I would just run. I would go away. So now, kind of energetically, what's being called for us to do is to do the exact opposite of
Mm,
what we would normally do. So if
mhm,
you would normally freeze, you need to take action. If you would
mhm,
normally fight, you need to love. You need to like just, you know, bring in that loving energy. And if you would normally run, you need to stay.
mhm. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so I understand you have a freebie for
I
the audience.
do.
Okay.
I do. Yeah.
You want
So
to tell
this
us about
is,
that?
speaking of abundance, this is my 9 best tips for attracting abundance. So 9 fast feng shui fixes to attract abundance. And that actually will give you this color bagua that we've been talking about. It's going to give you information on specific things that you can actually do to bring in more abundance in your life, and really just to become more aware of your environment and how it impacts you.
I love it. I love it. So I will have the link to that in the show notes. And where can people find you online?
Yeah, so my website is a great spot. It's Finding Your Fiji, FIJI.com. I also have a YouTube channel that's under my name, Kim Julen, Julen. And the YouTube channel is a great place for people that are wanting to know more about feng shui, because I have a whole playlist of Feng Shui Friday videos, and that has all kinds of good stuff there. And I also do free angel readings there every month for all the zodiac signs. So that's also a fun freebie that people can take advantage of.
I love it. I love it. It's all good stuff. And I want the freebie myself.
Yay!
Well, thank you so much for coming on. If anyone has any questions for Kim, definitely comment below, reach out to us, because we can always do a follow-up if people have a lot of questions, because I think that there's so much to know about feng shui and energy, and you touched on vibration. So if you have any
Yeah.
questions or comments, definitely post them in the comments section. And thank you again for coming. And until next
For
time, you
having me.
guys, until next time, love and light.
Love and light.
Thank you for listening to the Abundance Hack Podcast. Don't forget to leave comments and questions. Remember, every time you subscribe or leave a 5-star rating, I do my happy dance.